Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Welcome to another episode of Silicon Valley Tech, Art, Green, and Sustainability, SVTAGS. Today I have with me a wonderful local doctor and actually international now, Dr. Blaine Kingsbury. I'm so honored to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I've known you a very long time.
Yes.
And I know a little bit about your history. But will you share a little bit about your history with us? You know, your background, where you're from, maybe your schooling, whatever you'd like to share.
All right, well, I grew up in Michigan. And I've been a chiropractor for 15 years now.
You don't have an accent, though.
No, I've lived in 18 states, and so I kind of have a combined accent of all those. It just makes me neutral.
18 states?
Yes.
Wow. So Michigan.
Michigan. Grew up there, went to chiropractic school in Atlanta, Georgia, Dallas, Texas, and I finished up out here in the Bay Area, which is how I ended up in California.
So I just learned something new, but I didn't know you'd lived in so many states.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the aficionado on Georgia then?
Yes, I spent almost 10 years in Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow. It's a fun little town.
It is.
It's a fun. I just have stopped in when I've been flying in before. So here in California, how long now?
I've been here since '99.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And that's when you started your practice, or?
I moved out in '99, finished my last 2 years of chiropractic school in the Bay Area, and I started my practice in 2001.
Okay, let's pull up the first slide. Your practice has changed a little bit since you first moved here.
Yes.
And here you are here. I'm not sure exactly what you're doing with the clients, but
okay. So that's at the German Open in September in Hanau, Germany, and the guy that I'm working with is the number 4 fighter in the world, number 1 in Holland, and he actually took gold at this competition. He was the number 1 fighter in Germany that time. And in the one picture, I'm doing neurological. His timing was off, and so I'm making him a little bit faster and a little more accurate. And then in the bottom picture, I'm fixing his elbow and shoulder because it was restricted, which, at that level, if it's a 2 millimeter restriction, is a difference of gold and not placing. So
your practice has changed. You were more in-house a lot, and now you're traveling. Tell us about your practice and what it is that you.
It's kind of a mixed bag at this point. In my practice, I still see a lot of back pain, metabolic disorders, all kinds of things like that. But my big focus is sports right now. And so I travel all over the world to all the World Karate Federation events where I work with Greece, Holland, some of the United States athletes. So it's really kind of mixed. When I'm home, I see everything on the road. It's almost predominantly knees, shoulders, and sports-related injuries.
Wow. And so you've been doing that how long now, this new part of the practice?
I've been doing the sports for a couple years, but the traveling started in January.
Okay.
So yeah, January.
So almost a year.
Almost a year.
And do you do wrestling people too?
No, I just do World Karate Federation events.
Okay.
Or karate related. Some of the events are not technically a World Karate Federation event, but they're USA NKF, so the local.
And going back to your career path, how did you decide you wanted to be a chiropractor?
I was actually in my senior year of college. I was going to school in Chicago, and I was studying economics. And my brother and a couple friends and I were out goofing off being guys, and we found this flooded over salt quarry. And it was about a 20-foot drop into this huge flooded area. So we thought the smart thing to do would be to tie a rope on one of the trees and just swing out and drop 20 feet into this huge pool.
Oh my God.
And so, we were doing that. And at one of the points, I decided to swing out upside down, and there was a log floating under the surface of the water. And so I went in, and the water slowed me down, but I hit the log and ended up with like 18 stitches in my head and shoulder.
Oh my gosh.
And that healed, but I couldn't turn my head. I'd try to drive, and I'd be like this. I went from straight A's to almost flunking out of school. I couldn't concentrate. And after about a year of going to all kinds of doctors, they finally decided that I was depressed, which I was at that point because no one could help me. But they thought it was all coming psychological. And my mom basically said, try a chiropractor. I'd never heard of him before. At that point, I would have, if someone said cut the head off a chicken, drink the blood, do some weird dance in the moon, I would have done it. So they said, go see a chiropractor. So I went, and immediate relief. And at that point, I was going to go to chiropractic school. I was like, I love this. This is what I want to do. but I was just a couple months away from graduating. I thought, I'm going to graduate, try the business world. I've committed 4 years of my life to this. And then, 1 year turns into 10, then 10 years later, I finally got back into chiropractic school.
So you studied economics.
Yes.
So you did that for a while.
Yeah, I worked for a business consulting firm out of Detroit.
Wow, okay. Okay, so also the person to talk to about Chicago sometime. I've never traveled there either.
Yes, I lived in Chicago for a couple years.
For a while. 3 locations now. And
Yes.
tell us about that.
So I have my main location in Los Gatos still, where I treat everything that walks through the door. And then I have a location in Capitola and one in Monterey. And those specifically, I'll treat other things, but predominantly I just work on knees and shoulders. Those are stocked with the latest lasers, cold lasers on the market. And so I go down there, between the 5 days a week, I put about 60 hours in cycling between the 3 offices.
Wow.
But the 2 offices in south of here are almost all just knees and shoulders.
And I remembered you had talked about fibromyalgia, and that was a specialty you worked with. You're still working with patients with fibromyalgia?
Yeah, I still see a lot of fibromyalgia and thyroid disorders, which are always linked.
Tell us what
together.
fibromyalgia is, and I can't even pronounce it right now.
Okay, technically, fibromyalgia there has to be like so many pain points and all these different definitions. My opinion, fibromyalgia is just medical talk for we have no idea why you're in pain, but if we don't give you a diagnosis, you're not going to be happy. So it's become just a catch-all for anybody in chronic pain that's chronically tired. They just get diagnosed with fibromyalgia. In the 80s, it was chronic fatigue syndrome. Then it became, Epstein-Barr and something else. Now it's fibromyalgia. In 10 years, we'll have a new name. But it really is just widespread pain, widespread fatigue.
And does it have to do with arthritis and fatigue, or no?
No. It's, in my opinion, it's almost always an undiagnosed thyroid and or autoimmune disorder. It's usually, when we run an autoimmune panel, I've never had one come back where there weren't several autoimmune markers where their immune system was attacking their own body. And usually its favorite place to start is the thyroid. But when you have an autoimmune disorder attacking the thyroid, you don't have the symptoms of hyper or hypo. It's a mixed bag, because depending on how it's attacking at the moment, you get a different set of symptoms. So nobody diagnoses it because it doesn't fit the cookie cutter approach of this is hypothyroid. So because it fluctuates between hypo and hyper, no one treats it. And then that left undiagnosed, and the autoimmune component of it starts becoming widespread pain, fatigue, adrenal issues, but it all starts with usually thyroid and autoimmune.
Well, I know my mom, at one point, some doctor had said she probably has fibromyalgia, but it's probably something completely different. We don't even need to go there. Treating people with specialized issues and pain. Let's bring up slide 2 really quick. This is you again out in one of your sports.
Yeah, that's Vicky Panizzido. She's the 10-time Greek champion, 5-time European champion, 10-time Baltic champion, one of the best European fighters. And she's actually a fighter. She's an incredible fighter.
Okay.
I actually fly her to the United States to train my daughter because she's the best out there.
Wow.
And so she had a knee injury, and their doctors, basically she's 24 at the top of her game, and what they wanted to do is they said her leg was twisted, so they were going to unattach everything, twist her leg, reattach it, and basically after a year's rehab, hopefully she would be able to fight. And I met her in Dubai, told her that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
Right, cut her up so she could heal maybe in a year.
Well, the problem with that is if that wasn't the problem, when they do fix the problem, the leg will now twist the other way. And what are they going to do, unattach it and twist it back? Whoever gave her that advice didn't really think that through very well.
That is just crazy.
So she flew to the United States 3 times, worked on her knee, and got 100% resolution. So
working with people in specialized issues, pain and other issues, tell us about your practice in that part of it.
So the specialized things, the one thing that I do that's pretty unique is I can get almost 100% success with frozen shoulder in 3 to 4 visits.
I don't even know what frozen shoulder is.
So frozen shoulder is kind of what it sounds like. It's the joint gets frozen and people will come in and they can't lift past here. So I'll tell them lift your arms above their head, and they do this. One arm goes and one arm sticks. And there's no real intervention that's consistent to fix that. So people will I have people flying in all the time from different states and sometimes different countries, and they haven't raised their arm above their head in 20 years, which means they can't comb their hair, it's hard to take a shower, they can't put a jacket on. It really affects their life. And there's just no there's no intervention that consistently
And
works.
how does that happen? Like,
Well,
how does someone get like that? That's just
there's a bunch